The statistics around mental health can be misleading because it says 1 in 4, so there'll be 3 in 4 who think that it doesn't pertain to them. But you hear from their stories how important that third person was in the scenario, you know, how important it is for someone from the outside to have permission to identify and just say, you know, just as easily as you would say, oh, you've got the sniffles, you know, you're coming down with the flu or something, just to say, you're a bit down today, you know, you don't seem yourself, is everything okay? That open question that allows people to give that response.
And fantastic that they get that support. Not everybody has the ability to ask for that support, even if that support is there. You have been very open about your battle with depression, Clarke, and we know that you did, the worst thing. You tried to take your own life. It was a terrible, terrible time for you. But presumably there were people there who would have said to you, but why didn't you talk to me about it? Was it because you felt that you couldn't ask for that help? What was it that led to that dark time? Well,
in my case, it's because my depressive episode was so severe. I was beyond redemption. You know, it had such a grip of me that my thoughts and my perceived reality were that suicide was the logical, rational, best thing for all concerned. And that's the power of the illness. That's why it is, it is so important that we talk about it. But one thing that I do think is important we get across today, my story, my experience, we're talking about the end of a spectrum. Everybody has mental health. Everybody. And just like some days, like I said, you have the sniffles, there are other days when you seriously hurt yourself, you need to go to the hospital. That mental health is the same. There are some days where you're down, you're feeling, a bit low, and you might only need a coffee and a chat with someone. But there are other days where you get to the point where I did, where you do need medical attention and hospitalisation. This is for 4 in 4 people, not 1 in 4.
And during the winter, you made that decision, didn't you? You didn't let the illness get that far. This last winter, you recognised the signs, took yourself to hospital, got the medicine that you needed, and are feeling hopefully better.
And that's only because of the journey of awareness and understanding that I've been on, and that's why it's vitally important to have these conversations. Everybody needs to be aware of their own, journey with well-being. You need to know what your norm is so that you can identify variations in that.
It's interesting, Hilary, hearing Clarke talk so eloquently about it, but as he says, we all experience it in some capacity. It just depends where you are on the spectrum.
Absolutely. And what are we talking about here? We're talking about anxiety, depression, postnatal depression, OCD, bipolar, personality disorder, just stress at work. It's all part of the spectrum, and we're all non-immune to this. This could affect anybody during their life. And Clarke has been really eloquent about this, and he, sitting here, does 100 times much more than any doctor talking about mental health. He's eloquent, he's good-looking, he's athletic. If it can happen to him, it can happen to anybody. And people will say, well, why are you feeling like this? Sometimes it's inexplicable. It just comes out of the blue. There's not always a reason for people becoming unwell. But if they can talk about how they're feeling, because part of the problem is that depression makes you feel worthless, makes you feel like you're a burden on anybody else. Nobody's going to be interested in me. Actually, that's part of the problem. So by unburdening that, talking to somebody who does want to help and care, you start the process of getting better. And there are plenty of people who want to help, but there's also plenty of ignorance, plenty of stigma, plenty of prejudice. People think, oh, they're in that stereotypical group of people, they're a threat to me in some way, they're not normal. That ignorance and stigma has to be dispersed. And just as we've made progress with ethnicity issues and sexuality issues, we need to make big progress in mental health. We're getting there. But today's Time to Talk Day for Time to Change, and it starts now.
Clarke, I think it's, from talking to people with depression, I think it's very useful to know that you can unburden yourself to someone, but I think also it's really useful sometimes to realise that it is an illness.
Yes, of course.
And that therefore it needs treatment of some kind as well.
Definitely, you know, you have to acknowledge the totality of it, you know, the severity of it and the course of action. And this is why it's so important, so that people are aware of what support mechanisms are out there, what they need to do. Mental health first aid should be taught alongside physical, so you identify the symptoms, and you know the course of action.
Yeah.
Clarke, thank you so much for coming in and speaking to us again. Yeah. Good luck with the ongoing treatment, and you know, hopefully it'll carry on in the way it's going so far.
Thank you very much.
And that, you know, your openness and your honesty about what you've been through, as Dr. Hilary says, if somebody like you can suffer it but can talk openly about it, I think that makes a massive impact on other people who feel that they can't speak out.
And all the celebrities you mentioned as well, people love them for coming out and talking about it. So everybody can be loved, even with a mental issue.
You're absolutely right.
Thanks, guys.
If you want more information on those issues, do go to our website, itv.com/GMB.